Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. Today we have a 4v4 Empire versus Chaos matchup, and we are going to have a lot of variety here today. All 8 of us do have different legendary lords, so you're going to be seeing Balthazar Gelt, Volkmar the Grim, Boris Todbringer, and Karl Franz here. On the Empire side, and on the Chaos side, you're going to be seeing the Ever Chicken, Archaon the Ever Chosen, so lots of Evers, and Kulak Sun Eater, and Sigvald the Magnificent. So here with his resplendent mirror shield. But we'll start off with the Empire army comps over here. Leading Middenland with Boris is actually Indy Pride, and you can see he has a ton of handgunners as a main line, and he's kind of spreading out here to this white line to form a defensive, to basically use this white line as a defense. You can see our line is kind of shifted to the left, while theirs is fully spread out all along the entire map of Crossroads. He has some halberdiers, some Knights Panther, some halberdiers, 2 units of greatswords, and that's essentially it, with Boris Todbringer up in the air on a griffin. Leading this army is 4 greatswords, with 4 handgunners behind them, 1 bright wizard, Karl Franz on foot. I like this bring, I think, with Karl Franz, just because he is scary in melee and he is a duelist, so it kind of allows him to just sit somewhere and hammer away. No pun intended, as he does have Gal Miraz, but he does have armor sundering here and armor piercing, just an intense amount of armor piercing. Sorry about that, I didn't mean to do that. He does have a Hellblaster volley gun, which is super cool. Definitely don't see this, and it is very cheap in SFO mod, so definitely a good bring. Over here you can see I do have the Sunmaker. I have 3 units of halberds being supported by Sigmarite Disciples, with a Fire Wizard here in the middle, just trying to grant these guys all fire attacks, and I actually don't believe I have anything on him. I just have Cascading Fire Cloak, and he does grant fire to about 3 units around him in SFO mod. He has the Banner of Eternal Flame. Right next to him I do have a Celestial Wizard. I figured I'd try that out. I do have Harmonic Convergence and what's it called? Oh man. Curse of the Midnight Wind. So just really trying to make this front line of halberdiers work with my magic. And I didn't really want to bring any nets, because there's a lot of nets. And actually none of the Empire players brought any nets, so very interesting. You can see I do have Tattersouls and Sigmar Sons, 2 unbreakable units out on the flank. Supporting this main line I do have Sigmarite Disciples, so these halberdiers have plus 14% damage from flame, plus 10% resistance, and they're going to be constantly being buffed by my Cascading Fire Cloak and my Harmonic Convergence. Leading this army is Volkmar the Grim. He'll be running around dropping his buffs wherever he is. I do have 3 units of Free Company Militia, just because I really didn't have much money left over. And in the back I do have Zentler's Reichsguard, which do have in this mod an anti-large bonus. Over here you can see the Templehof Luminarch, the only nut on the field actually. I forgot about this guy. And he'll be trying to take out some large units. He's got some halberds as a main line, silver bullets, handgunners, more handgunners, Tattersouls, Sigmar's Sons, and Balthazar Gelt up here in the air, with some Royal Altdorf Graphites, which are terrifying in this mod with 12,000 HP, 127 armor-piercing weapon damage, plus anti-large bonuses, so definitely a strong unit there. Oh man, just so many units. Okay, so Sartorial, I think this is Jack over here. It's a whole bunch of Chaos Marauders in the back, some Chosen with great weapons, 2 units of Forsaken, and the Chaos Knights with lances. Bunch of Warhounds in the back, and an Exalted Hero to kind of buff up these Marauders with morale. Over here you can see just a ton of Chaos Warriors, 4 units of Forsaken, some Chosen vetted up to rank 3, and some Chaos Warriors with halberds to protect the back lines, led by Archaon the Ever Chosen with that Baywatch run. And then of course some Chaos Knights, which in this mod are non-armor piercing, anti-infantry cav. Over here you can see some more Chaos Warriors with halberds, And then this huge flanking force that really has nobody opposed to it is led by Prince Sigvald the Magnificent. Main line of Chaos Marauders, a bunch of Horse Masters, some Warhounds, some Chaos Knights with lances, more Horse Masters, and more Hounds. All the Hounds. And up here you can see they do have Chaos Sorcerer of Metal, Chaos Sorcerer of Shadows, and Kolek. So just lots of different magic, lots of different armies. And you can see the battle is beginning over here. These Forsaken are getting shot at with these silver bullets, and that is important here because they do have 85 armor. Why you don't see just all Forsaken on the field like you do in a normal Empire versus Chaos matchup is they do have that Lizardman mechanic of Frenzy, so they will go out of control and charge at whatever and become uncontrollable. So it does make them very difficult to use in this mod. But you can see we're going to be opening fire, Hellblaster Volley Gun, some nice volleys here, putting some hurt on those Forsaken. But these guys are going to come into Sartorial, the Everwatcher, not a good target to fire at. You can see Sunmaker is opening fire here, trying to target some lightly armored troops. And I think I do turn it over here. You can see these Forsaken are, I think, going to catch these handgunners. Oh man, Warhounds dropped by Sartorial are going to do a great deal of damage here to these great swords. And they're actually going to get in these silver bullets too. And you can see these handgunners are just getting caught by these fast mobility units. And Sartorial is coming in. You can see that we are kind of double teaming this player. So this is very common and something you do have to try and avoid in like 4v4s or 3v3s, is that these guys will double team you. So here you can see, I do believe this is Jack, just because I always know where he is and I try and shoot at him. Is just going to get surrounded here. Not much choice. You can't really sit back and just let the handgunners and the artillery do what it wants. But this is kind of the benefit of having this staggered formation. And you can see me and this Empire player have taken kind of a defensive stance, boxing up a little bit, getting ready for this fight ahead. And man, you can see this is what I was worried about. These Forsaken are going to come in and just, they love taking on lightly armored Empire infantry, but I'm hoping my buffs here will be enough to stop them. Over here, I think a banish or some sort of spell is being dropped on my Free Company Militia, and I don't really care. They're just 450 gold, so that is what it is. And you can see over here, this is, the handgunners are getting pulled out. You can see they're all relatively high health, so they probably haven't lost that many models, and they're ready to kind of start shooting in again. But you can see these Forsaken nicely handled here, coming through the gaps. But they do have these units of Forsaken ready to come in. And you can see he's just fully committing here to this surround, which I think is a great move. And you can see my Sunmaker is coming over here. I noticed he had a lot of Marauders, so I figured this would be where my non-armor piercing damage was most useful. You can see over here some Sigmar Suns are coming out here trying to catch these guys unaware, but that micro was on point. You can see these guys are going to just keep moving and not get caught, but they might be moving straight into these Royal Altar fights. Oh, I think he's just dropping maybe Searing Dooms or something, but Free Company Militia are going to be opening fire, and in this mod they do have armor piercing damage, so this is going to be a perfect way for them to help this main line. Volkmar Grim is going to come in here. You can see I think I'm going to dodge a Vortex here. And you can see these shots are going to be coming down onto these Chaos Marauders, just really trying to route this side of the field. You can see Sartorial just coming in here all angry, and that's what he's definitely best at. Just coming in, disrupting lines, getting to these skirmisher units. Luckily he does have a lot, so he can kind of spread and fire from all different angles. But you can see this main line it's really hard to tell. It's such a cluster over here. But the other Empire player is coming in to help. You can see this Chaos player doing a nice job of coming in here, trying to reinforce this side of the fight. It looks like I did dodge some Gehenna's Golden Hound action. Thank goodness, but it might run straight into my Zentler's Reichsguard, which would definitely be sad. And you can see here that I've brought my Celestial Wizard in, and you can see, look at this guy, melee attack 9. I dropped the Curse of the Midnight Wind here, and then the Wizard of Light and Celestial Wizards. I have this blinded, so you can see they are just getting blinded, and their melee attack is sucked down into nothing, and so that's really going to help these halberdiers who have a incredibly high melee defense with 41. And you can see I've had to keep my Bright Wizard Red here to make sure my flame attacks are hitting all 3 of my units. So if I move him here, it will only hit 2, and his attacks are not really worth that. I want that 14% extra damage. You can see my Sigmar Sons are holding out here, and I think I'm going to bring both of these handgunners here to bear on Kolek. And you can see the Luminarch is lining up as well. And you can see this Chaos player is getting ready to come around here, and these lines are ready to meet, but he started really far away. So you can see here I am firing in. This is definitely a risky shot, just because you can see there I do hit in these halberdiers and help them get terrified off the field, so definitely a mistake. But I kind of hope that that thing did more for benefit than for not, because yeah, don't want friendly fire to be the reason you lose the battle. Over here you can see Chaos Warriors are coming in here, and the Tattersouls actually do have maces, so they do armor-piercing damage in this mod. You can see they're 22, so they're not actually that bad of a unit to be holding down this flank, and you can see these Free Company Militia tried to get around the flank to fire into these Forsaken, but you can see I'm pretty handily winning this fight against these more expensive units, but I guess I am, if you count all my heroes, I've definitely spent a lot more money. But you can see Transmutation of Lead is just dropping here, minus 45% weapon damage, so I guess I'm not the only one trying to switch this in my favor. You can see these Free Company Militia are opening fire, but look at Kolek just all angry. He's going to stomp these guys out of existence with his big old hammer. But you can see I really am just trying to make these guys win, so I'm dropping my really cheap spells constantly all over the battlefield, just trying to buff up a particular unit. So there you can see he does have 84 melee defense, so it's just going to make them very tanky here against these Forsaken, and hopefully against Kolek. You can see the Halberdiers over here are being chewed through by some Forsaken, but these slower units have not yet gotten into the fight. And you can see these guys really just want to run these guys straight in here through the gaps, but the Sigmar Sons would be ready to kind of filter in as well. And you can see the Luminarch is getting ready for another shot here on Kolek, anything to take him out. And you can see over here, I think he's going to be dropping some sort of vortex, and these Chaos Warriors in here chopping apart these Flagellants. I think they will win in the end just because they have so much better stats. I guess it's kind of flip-flopped, but you know, these Chaos Warriors will have their non-armor piercing and armor piercing damage counting, while only these Tattersouls will only have their armor piercing counted. I mean, great swords here. This is going to be a great fight for them, as the Hellblaster Volley Gun opens fire, does some good damage. I think, oh, Pit of Shades being dropped on my Hellblaster Volley Gun. And you can see here that a lot of these units are routing, terrified off the field by Boris with his Crush the Weak. But you can see Sartorial still pretty good health, but look at this firing line. So even if they got through, they would have to advance all the way up here. You can see Sartorial is getting shot at. There's really nothing else to shoot at, so this is definitely a good use of that ammo, just because there's only small targets here. And he seems to be winning this engagement. If he can just crack that leadership, potentially open this Chosen up to some fire would be good. But you can see Karl Franz over here, still not yet committed, just standing by the Hellblaster Volley Gun. And you can see this front line still going on. These Forsaken are incredibly stubborn. Banishment being dropped. And I'm trying to get these Zentler's Reichsguard to do a rear charge to really just crush the center. And you can see Kolek finally coming through. Going to push through, start chasing after this Tempelhof Luminarch. But I'm hoping we just have enough kind of ranged troops to really do whatever we want. You can see Sigmar Disciples. This was definitely a mistake. I don't know why I didn't commit them to the fight. Their armor-piercing magic damage would definitely help here. But you can see that Sorcerer of Shadow still sitting back there. And this is not looking good for the Sigmar Sons. Oh, look at this. Halberdiers, Chaos Knights, Zentler's Reichsguard do get, I think, a decent charge here in the back. I don't know what they were charging at, but maybe it was these Chaos Knights. And you can see, again, the Chariot is just going to pull away. But if he does pull away, I can just turn around and shoot with my Free Company Militia if Kolek decides to give chase. And there are some handgunners here who are willing to aid the cause. So just a lot going on in this battle. You can see my Tattersouls just holding down the line. Over here, we are cleaning up this army. But on this side, they're starting to push through our lines. You can see here, these handgunners are helping my Free Company. Definitely switching this in my favor, and you can see Volkmar coming over here, trying to patch essentially the holes in my line. Over here, the Forsaken are finally routing. I'm dropping Curse of the Midnight Wind on the biggest blobs I can find. You can see they're really trying to take out that Sunmaker. But at this point, it's used a lot of its ammo. Probably not the best choice. You can see Kolek is going to get hit again by that Templehof Luminarch, so just slowly taking away his health. Nice job getting the Warhounds in here against these handgunners, and you can see this front line is finally giving up and routing off the field. There's just so much here. These aspiring champions are just beasts. And you can see these Horse Masters did get in here, but man, these Demigryph Knights are just going to tear them apart. And the Silver Bullets don't have terrible melee attack and defense stats, so they'll actually do okay. But you can see their Horse Masters are getting through the line. They're coming after this. Hellblaster Volley Gun luckily still online. Opening fire here into this blob. Probably shooting its own troops in the back, but definitely worth it when fighting this high tier stuff. What is this? This would be amazing if this hit. It is incredibly hard to time spells on cavalry. And I think it is going to miss here. But you can see finally cleaning this up. Sartorial is unbreakable though, so he is going to be very stubborn. And you can see these Chaos Knights are going to get into the handgunners and just have a field day. You can see my Free Company Militia are firing into the fleeing Chaos Warriors. They did... I really can't press play just because of the horrible frame rate drop. But here you can see these Chaos Warriors did rout and waver. And they ran away and then they came back. But since it's really hard to tell when things come back and when they don't, my Free Company Militia were able to just get some free shots into their back, their non-shielded side, and do some good damage to them, make sure they don't come back. But you can see these Forsaken still just holding on for dear life. But I am slowly kind of turning my army around here to deal with this stuff. You can see Manticore coming in here, and these Sigmar Sons just being very determined. They're just so heavily armored in this mod. They have high melee defense. And I keep constantly casting Cascading Fire Cloak on them, just to make sure they don't rout, make sure that part of my line holds up. But you can see this Chaos Army is coming through. This Chaos Army, it's kind of hard to see who's going to win. Karl Franz still full health though, and Archaon does not do armor-piercing damage like him, so he'll be able to just lay the smack down 1v1. But you can see these Chaos Knights with lances. There's just a lot of fire here, so if they want them to survive, he's going to have to ping-pong, but even then he might get shot by the Hellblaster Volley Gun. You can see here, cleaning up the stragglers of this army. Handgunners coming out here to make sure to scare these guys off. Borstadbringer, luckily, it does have regeneration, so he'll just get full health soon. And man, you can see Volkmar, though, still very healthy. He's going to be coming in here, trying to put an end to this Manticore. Oh man, a little laggy here. But you can see he's going to run away at the sight of these Halberdiers who do have 61 melee attack with those buffs. That is very terrifying for any sort of large unit. Pit of Shades here being dropped on my group. Not the best for me. And you can see some more Hounds coming down. Anything to try and switch this in their favor. Halberdiers here, well, they'll fight this Chaos Sorcerer. Their armor piercing will be nice. Which is kind of why I brought the Halberdiers here, because I just figured they'd be okay against anything, and that's really just what I needed for my buffs to pay off. So here you can see he did charge into my Free Company Militia, but I am getting some nice shots off with my other one. And so this is the benefit of kind of bringing these guys. They can last a little while longer and allow stuff like this to happen, where you just like split your forces and support them, support your ranged troops with other ranged troops. So you can see definitely going to switch this in my favor as these guys just get gunned down. Oh man. I think their fire rate was reduced, so in the vanilla they'd probably be better at shooting these unarmored infantry in the back, but it definitely just helps to have the armor piercing to make them more useful against everything. So they're really just, I think, a must bring, and they're just way cheaper than handgunners, so you can afford to spend your money in other places while still having an armor piercing threat. Over here is Zenler's Guard, forgotten about. It's just another clear example of my poor micro. As this Chaos Sorcerer ran away, Volkmar here trying to deal with these aspiring champions. Probably not the best thing to be dealing with these guys, just because he's not really good against one models, but you can see he does have a decent amount of weapon strength, but most of it won't get through the armor piercing. You can see these Royal Electrifiers just taking on these cav. This is definitely what they want. They want to be taking on heavily armored cavalry, and they're getting their wish, but the Chaos Knights with Lances do love that too, and of course here comes Kolek's Sun Eater, pulling away from those halberds, which was a great move. You can see Banishment. I did sacrifice my Free Company Militia, drop Banishment on this Chaos Warrior, just really trying to get rid of him. But I probably should have dropped it over here instead. I was just afraid of kind of running over my own troops. So you can see here, slowly dealing with this stuff. Halberdiers are getting kind of overwhelmed, so I'm going to bring in my Sigmarite Disciples to help. Free Company Militia fighting these Forsaken. You can see the chariot running away from these Horse Masters, but I am bringing in my Halberdiers to help. This guy has a lot of ammo left, and I want to see that used. I don't want to have to fight Kolek with poor Volkmar. But you can see here that Boris is still around. There's a lot of handgunners over here. Still 3 units from Indie Pride, and looks like 2 units over here. So if we can just set up kind of a cohesive firing line, even if I fall, they'd probably still be able to push them back. Oh, you can see there, still sniping out Kolek. Sartorial just died on the other side of the battlefield. Sendler's Reichsguard still forgotten about, but you can see these Sigmarite Disciples definitely switching this fight in my favor with their armor-piercing hammers. And so you can see here, these guys actually got hit by that Grand Shield of Faith from Volkmar, so definitely paying for himself. You can see my Celestial Wizard in here, fighting tooth and nail. I guess this is the Fire Wizard. You can see here, Volkmar taking a bit of damage. You can see these Royal Electrifiers did take out those Chaos Knights with Lances, but they are dropping themselves. Luckily, some silver bullets are coming in here, shooting these guys to bits, and Balthazar Gelt is still very helpful. I did bring over one of my units of Free Company. They're opening fire as well, and you can see my Celestial Wizard here keeping these guys in the fight with his Encourage Aura. Is going to come over here and just try and take out these units. That's definitely how these cheap Wizard Lords, oh man, he just kicked that Chaos Marauder in the face, is meant to be used. And you can see here, just they're not going to stand up when they're this low to any sort of hero unit. They're going to be running, especially when there's Free Company shooting in as well. So you can see they're just kind of overlapping lines of fire is very important for the Empire. So you can see here this Exalted Hero just getting gunned down. He does not stand a chance. Look at that, 3 handgunners opening fire at the same time. He's going to do the right thing. Turn his back on that. Oh man, just so cool. Steel, Faith, and Gunpowder. So you can see these Knights Panthers here. 111 kills, so racking up a decent amount. Free Company Militia still kind of chasing out those Chaos Warriors. And yeah, you can see here just kind of a mass general rout. One of the only things left here is Sigvald, just surrounded and being poked to death. Probably the ideal death for a Slaaneshi dude. Just a gangbang where you're poked with spears. Oh man. So yeah, we'll just watch as Sigvald here just takes out a bunch of these Halberdiers. And eventually here comes my Zentler's Reichsguard. They're going to run over his pretty face. You can see some aspiring champions still. You can see there, they've only lost 2 models. Volkmar's going to come in here, just run him over with his little pimp cart. So Pyrrhic victory there. So you can see it was me me on the Empire team with Bart, Marshall, and Indy Pride versus Marcus Guy, Jack, Vermin, and a Fury of Owls. So you can see here, Sunmaker did not do very well. Probably would have brought the Hammer of Witches next time. Focus on that Cav. You can see Volkmar doing well as always. Free Company Militia, I think, definitely just paying for themselves by being an annoyance. I don't know how well I did in the middle, but I definitely kind of just traded with my opponent. You can see some of these Halberdiers getting a ton of kills. Sigmar Sun's doing very well. Demigriff Knights paying for themselves. Those Silver Bullets doing work. Temple of Luminarch definitely chunking out. Kolek, though he's kind of expected to do more damage. Indy Pride here, you can see just a lot of his kills on those Knight Panther. Sunmaker taking a lot of kills over here. These handgunners chunking out the Ever Chicken. Fury of Owls here. I think this was the guy on the far left from the Chaos perspective, so definitely had to come around. Ran a long way to the battle, and Prince Sigvald here racking up 66 kills. The Chaos Sorcerer of Metal not really having a great time against the Halberdiers and the really just non-armored units that the Empire brought. Chaos Warhounds always great against the Empire, though. You can see Marcus Guy's Forsaken build doing work here. I think a lot of these Forsaken got a decent amount of kills. Chaos Knights with Lances always doing very well, but Kolek here only getting 6 kills just because we focused him so hard. Jack here, you can see Sartorial with 204 kills. These Chosen here, 235. But all his other units here really just got focused and surrounded. This Forsaken unit doing pretty well. And Vermin here with a very thematic army. Archaon the Ever Chosen leading a huge Chaos Warrior and Chosen. You can see these Chosen got 205 kills. And these Chaos Knights 104. Definitely wish Archaon was a little cheaper. Just in the current multiplayer meta. Just because he seems to not do quite as well as stuff like Sartorial, which actually you can get for like 1,600 gold, versus Archaon, who is hugely expensive. We can actually go look at that right now. Just because it's... Yeah, so you bring this guy. What do you want? You want Gehenna's Golden Hounds, we'll say Transmutation of Lead, and Plague of Rust. So, 2,200 gold. You can see this guy. You gotta bring him on his horse. Say you strip him down. You don't want that because that does armor piercing. You want Kindle Flame. Vigor's helpful. You just bring the default spells. And yeah, so about the same price, but you saw what Sartorial was able to do with his armor piercing and all that versus what Archaon was able to do with his stuff. But anyways, just kind of a price comparison, and thinking about Archaon in the meta a little bit. He does have these cool items, the Crown of Domination and the Slayer of Kings. Crown of Domination probably the one more likely to affect the meta. Immune to Psychology and Leadership can be helpful, especially with certain units, so we can kind of combine there to be pretty useful. But anyways, thanks so much for watching, and that's that.